Everybody, how's my audio?
Audio is good.
Disappointingly normal,
live.
not chipmunky.
Disappointingly good.
Disappointingly normal. I look forward to your chipmunk interludes.
I wish I knew how to create it. Like I could, have fun, have more fun with it.
Someday we'll find out you're running everything through an effects pedal. It's a complicated setup that we just don't see.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here with us this evening. I'm calling to order this public comment regularly scheduled meeting of April 11th, 2022 to order. This evening with us, and I'll read them as I see them on the screen, is Council Assistant Majority Leader Rossetti, Councilman LeBron, Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon, Councilman Josh Mixtum, Councilman John Gale, and Councilman James Sanchez is actually logging on to the meeting. Just a couple of notes on the housekeeping. Public comment shall be conducted in accordance with the following procedures. Each person wishing to address the council, therefore, shall, upon recognition by the presiding officer, give his or her name and address, and if he or she represents a group, shall in addition state for the record the name and address of said group or organization, and shall limit his or her remarks to 3 minutes. All remarks should be addressed to the council as a body and not to any individual member. Any persons making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, or who becomes boisterous while addressing the council, shall be forthwith barred by the presiding officer from further audience at said meeting unless permission to remain is granted by a 2/3 votes of the council members present and voting. During this public comment, there shall be no debate by the council, although questions may be asked of the person making such comments or presentations. For members of the community, please be advised that this meeting is broadcast and recorded by Hartford Public Access Television and can be viewed via HPA-TV Facebook page, Comcast Xfinity Channel 96, www.hpatv.org or Channel 6032 for Frontier customers. Spanish interpretation is provided through a partnership with the City of Hartford and the Hartford Public Library. Additionally, accommodations can be made available with enough notice through the Office of the Council President. So once again, thank you everyone for being here with us. Also here is our Corporation Counsel, Howard Rifkin, our town clerk, Mr. Noel McGregor, and members of the Hartford Public Access TV. And I see that Councilman James Sanchez has joined us this evening. So let's see here. First on our agenda today is Tori Hamilton. Tori, if you can state your name and address, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tori Hamilton. I reside at 106 Earl Street, Hartford, Connecticut, 06120. I'm also here on behalf of my employer, Connecticut Association for Human Services, 110 Bartholomew Avenue, Suite 4020, Hartford, Connecticut, 06114. And I'd like to start and say good evening again to the distinguished members of the council. As I stated, my name is Tori Hamilton, and I'm the Bank on Connecticut Program Manager with the Connecticut Association for Human Services. As the Bank on Connecticut Program Manager, I'm here to provide testimony on the proposed resolution in support of Bank On. And I'd like to take a moment to thank you all for your advocacy on this timely resolution. As we all know, a banking account is a cornerstone of financial stability, an important first step in participating in the financial mainstream. A bank account allows residents to deposit a paycheck safely, pay bills effectively, access or build credit, and save for emergencies and for the future. Sad to report, in our capital city, more than 21% of households are unbanked, without a checking or savings account. In addition, another 19% are underbanked, meaning that they may have an account, but they still rely on costly alternative financial services for money orders and sending monies overseas to family members. According to most recent data shared by the FDIC, Americans have a distrust of banks. They don't understand the fee structures, can't afford to maintain an account due to exorbitant deposit requirements and fees. But most importantly, they don't feel that their financial institutions truly understand them or their community's needs. It makes perfect sense. As the numbers conclude, in 2019, financial institutions earned $11.8 billion in overdraft fees alone. A deeper dive into Connecticut numbers show that about 9% of residents paid about 84% of all the overdraft fees paid by Connecticut. Think about that. The lack of an adequate financial and digital infrastructure leaves many families without the ability to access basic and dependable financial services. The pandemic has exaggerated this fact. During these unprecedented times we're facing, one overdraft fee could literally mean that a family in our city goes without groceries for the rest of the week. The Bank On Coalition, as part of the nationwide Bank On movement, makes a concerted effort to disrupt that negative connotation associated with the banking institution. To meet this considerable challenge, Bank On Connecticut works statewide to connect residents to safe and affordable banking accounts. By negotiating with financial institutions and embedding opportunities to open safe accounts into nonprofit and government social service programs. Leveraging these relationships, we're introducing our residents to safe banking, providing access to free quality financial empowerment strategies and one-on-one financial coaching, promoting savings initiatives like the United Way, Alice Saves, and connecting residents to our own Bank On partner financial institution, credit rebuilding products, built with them as a consumer in mind. Bank On Connecticut is in full support of the passage of this resolution and strongly encourage council members and community stakeholders alike across the city to consider partnering with Bank On Connecticut. For more information about our movement and other asset building programs, please visit us at cause.org, and I'll include my contact information in the chat. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. Hamilton, for your comments. Next to speak is Antonia Edwards. Do we have Antonia Edwards on the screen? For the record, Councilwoman Tiana Hercules has joined us. Okay, we'll come back to Antonia Edwards. Mr. Peter Little, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Rosado, and good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Little, resident of 42 Kenmore Road in Bloomfield. I'm a member of the Greater Hartford African American Alliance and the co-chairman of an ad hoc committee the Alliance has established to examine the Hartford Police Union contract, which expires June 30 of this year. J. Stan McCauley, the Alliance president, who many of you know, sends his greetings to all members of council, and I believe Stan is in the meeting tonight. Our committee has been gathering community input about provisions that govern transparency and accountability in the HP union contract. We've completed a review of the current contract, including its Officers' Bill of Rights, so-called Officers' Bill of Rights, as well as related provisions in the HPD's general orders, which are the policies and procedures that also govern discipline and accountability. We compared the current contract with previous contracts going back 20 years. We've also conducted research on best practices in police union contracts in other cities around the country. The bottom line is we've identified a number of provisions that members of the Alliance and other community groups regard as problematic. Those provisions have remained unchanged for more than 20 years. Each 6 years, it seems, when the contract is renewed, the Officers' Bill of Rights is renewed almost by rote without any indication of a consultative process with the community. I'm here tonight to say four things. First, that community organizations, including the Alliance, are keenly interested in this matter. Our president, J. Stan McCauley, has extended an invitation to the public safety Quality of Life and Public Safety Committee co-chairs, Majority Leader Clark and Councilman Sanchez, to attend a meeting with the Alliance to discuss these matters. And I'm sure he'd welcome other council members who are interested. As of today, J-Stan hasn't heard back from the co-chairs. Second, we'd like to request that the council take an active role in the negotiation process and that this process be made more transparent to the community. There's a misconception that these negotiations are secret, but our review of the state statute and the regulations governing collective bargaining show otherwise. In other cities, the community is being offered a seat at the table when the city and the union sit down to negotiate. Why can't it be done here in Hartford? Thirdly, we'd like to request that the city update the council and that the city update its public safety committee and the public on the negotiations on a periodic basis, ideally monthly. And fourthly, and maybe most specifically, we'd like to ask that the council and the public safety committee resume consideration of a draft resolution that I believe council members Mitchum and Bermudez introduced back in April of 2021. That resolution called for the Public Safety Committee to make recommendations on behalf of the community to the full council on matters of community interest appearing in the contract. The resolution was discussed in 3 Public Safety Committee meetings last year, April, July, and August. In April and July, the committee members, Public Safety Committee members, voted to table consideration of the resolution to the next meeting. And in August, when its author, Councilman Mitchum, was unfortunately unable to be present, the Public Safety Committee voted on motion and second of the 2 co-chairs to postpone that item indefinitely. So we believe that the time is upon us to take up this resolution again. Thank you very much. I'll leave it there. Happy to respond to questions if anyone has them.
Thank you, Mr. Little. My office will definitely follow up with you and our public safety chairs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next to speak is Mr. Kelvin Lovejoy. You have the floor. And for the record, I just want to acknowledge that Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon has been with us since the beginning of the meeting. I was not able to see everyone on the screen, but she has been here with us since the meeting started. Okay, we'll go back to Mr. Kelvin Lovejoy. Cheryl Banks. Cheryl Banks. You have.
Hi, thank you, everybody. Good evening. Thank you, Council, for this moment in time. I just want to ask, just a quick question or make a statement, and it doesn't really have to be answered at this point in time, but the question would be, with what's happening, are we under political attack? There's been an article in the 2018 that stated since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down key parts of voting rights acts, nearly 1,000 of polling places have been shuttered across the country. And when we say shuttered, that's defined as to close a store or business of operation for the day or permanently. We are now seeing the fallout of the 2019 ruling, said Kristen Clark, the president and executive director of Washington, D.C.-based Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law. It's the proposed closure of the polling location at the North End Senior Center, a result of the same fallout from 2013. Another question. What is the benefit of taking away of polling places? The number of polling places in the county can have a significant impact on who votes, and changing the location of a polling place, according to a 2011 study in American Political Science Review around lowering voter turnout, who will benefit from lower voter turnout in North Hartford? These are just a couple of questions, when we're talking about the voters' rights and what needs to be done versus what's being done and what we're seeing. Thank you.
Thank you,
Cheryl
Ms.
Banks.
Banks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Banks. And my office will be happy to follow up with you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next to speak is Tanaya Taylor.
Hi, it's Tanea. Hi, I'm Tanea. My address is 190 Oxford Street in Hartford, Connecticut. I just want to speak on some affordable housing and evictions in Hartford. In March 2022, the highest number of evictions were filed. 2,495 new eviction cases were filed by landlords. Unite CT is running out of money. So people who have fell behind on rent or need rental assistance will not be able to, get that. So a person like myself who has received a notice to quit with a just cause eviction, which is not, non-payment of rent or whatever, is essentially the landlord just telling you to get out. And I see because of gentrification, construction, rising rent costs, they kept saying, we haven't raised the rent in a while. Now the rent is being raised, and I have to get out. Searching for an apartment in Hartford is extremely difficult. There's nothing available. There's nothing affordable available. Going to the city, contacting the housing division department that doesn't exist, Brian Matthews, no one answers the emails. It just seems like there's no solution for housing. I contact housing organizations that get funding allocated towards them, like Hands on Hartford, Journey Home. All of these organizations don't have any immediate solutions to house people. So I'm not really sure how we're supposed to survive. Hartford is the only home I've known, and I don't want to move from this city. And there should be some rent caps and some true affordability, and not affordability by the area median percentage of rent. Just because some apartments are a few $1,000s doesn't mean that $1,000 is for a studio is affordable. And that's what it's looking like in Hartford currently. So there really needs to be some meetings or work around housing justice in the city to ensure that tenants have access to truly affordable and safe rentable apartments, and truly affordable to everyone, not just, recent college graduates who want to go back and forth from New York. I'm talking about a single mom and her 3 kids, not like young professional affordable, because that's what used to exist in Hartford and it still needs to be here. But right now, there's a lot of prioritization of these larger developers to come in and not provide any structure or safe housing for folks. So just want to throw that out there. And if anyone wants to learn more, definitely email me, info@naghartford.com, or just go to naghartford.org, because I do want to get the conversation going around affordable, truly affordable and accessible housing. Thank you so much. And if you know any studio apartments for rent, hit me up, because I'm about to be homeless and I don't want to be, and donate to my GoFundMe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. My office will be in contact with you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next to speak, and I believe our last speaker for the evening, Mr. Kelvin Lovejoy. You have the floor.
Madam Chair, can I be heard?
Yes.
I want to thank you, first of all, for coming back to me. I really appreciate your time and the time of the council. Kelvin Lovejoy, Hartford resident all of my life. I have been, I'm currently at 51 Barber Street, where I am a taxpayer, as well as a community organizer for BHCA, Blue Hills Civic Association, doing business as Building Hartford through community action. I'm really here this evening because I'm so moved, really to almost tears, to hear about a proposal to redistrict and relocate the polling place in North Hartford at the North End Senior Center at 80 Coventry Street. I'm not exactly sure who would propose that and who would do that, understanding that it was just a few years ago, in 2013, that the Supreme Court effectively struck down the heart of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It was a shame then, it's a shame now. What we see here in the city of Hartford, a city that is approximately 125,000 or so people, predominantly Black and brown people, when we see the moving of a polling place, this is a throwback to the days of mass discrimination. This is not what we want in the city of Hartford. When political officials can reduce the voter participation of certain groups by eliminating polling places and then increase participation of other groups by placing polling places in certain neighborhoods, we should be suspicious. By taking away these polling places in various locations, it significantly impacts who can vote and how they vote. You know, we have so many beloved seniors at the North End Senior Center. I am not sure what would even strike a person to come up with the idea to move the polling place from somewhere where our beloved elders are located. It is a location that is indeed central to the political process that happens in North Hartford. I would suggest that we revisit this idea, and I would really look forward to hearing from anyone on council so that we can definitely consult on how to make sure that our seniors and residents in Blue Hills stay and have a convenient location for voting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lovejoy. And we can have, you know, further conversation on this issue. Is there anyone, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address this council body? Is there anyone else on the screen that would like to address this council body? Okay, we called everyone that was on our list, and Miss Antonia Edwards did send us an email that she would not be able to make it. So with that said, this meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a good evening, and please, you can tune again at 7 p.m. For a regularly scheduled council meeting. Thank you. Have a good night.